Hi, I'm Ryan Malyar, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Corner Office. Today, we are on location at Mayor Christian Dumais' office right here at City Hall.
Yeah, we are.
Thanks for having me here.
Thanks for coming.
We got the whole team here, too.
We are. It's literally, we are in the corner.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
In my own little corner, in my own little chair.
Welcome to the office.
Thanks. So we've got a lot of stuff happening, as
We
always,
do.
here in the city of Marlborough. Let's start off with the Capital Improvement Plan projects.
Yeah.
This is once a year we get to put in these requests to do these big projects, these
Yes.
meaty projects for the city. So what's going on?
Yeah, so some changes throughout the city, which is always a good thing. You know, streets are always a huge issue with Marlborough, so we're happy to report that we have a few streets that are on the list, as well as some drainage issues. So we'll jump in with the Hildreth Street stormwater drainage improvements, as well as a culvert replacement on Marlborough Brook and Causeway Street extension. So that's always fun. Global warming and those intense rains, so it's good to get that situated and clear up that. The Fort Meadow Dam maintenance, which is a huge issue. So we're working on that as well. And then we're jumping into some water main replacements, which happens pretty much every year. Those are various locations throughout the city. So we're happy to do that. And then pump station upgrades and designs. We're doing Lincoln Street as well for the water main. And then some streets, which I know that you guys are all excited to hear that streets are getting done. So we're doing the Hager Street and Hemingway Street pavement reconstruction. Lincoln Street has been an ongoing thing through the Mass Works grant. So we're excited to button that up. Chandler Street, Burns Road, McGee Ave, and Conrad Road will all get milled and paved with an overlay. So we're excited about that to get those roads done. Obviously, the Hudson Street landfill. We're doing more with that, so that'll be a beautiful green space.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so that'll be nice to see. And then
We got some projects with the police department, too.
the
New
police,
cruisers and
so those are the
tasers.
big projects, and that
Yeah.
we use bond those projects out. And then for free cash, we were able to secure 4 new police vehicles, new tasers, new bulletproof vests. DPW got a bunch of new vehicles. We're happy to do that. Some were extremely outdated and old, and we're happy to get a bunch of new vehicles for DPW so we can make more improvements for the city. We actually are going digital with all of our records for the Accessor's Office
So
building.
that's digitizing a lot of archives then,
About
right?
600 boxes of records. That
How
are
far back does it go? Do we know?
Years.
Wow.
Years. So they're actually all being stored at the Walker Building basement. So every time we need a records request, we have to go to the Walker Building and sift through all that. So that'll be huge to actually get that data and digitize it, so it's not just being stored.
No, it can now be searchable, right?
Now searchable and easy to find. Fire department, we're replacing the fire station alerting system and radio boxes. We actually got a new fire truck as well. That'll be
Nice.
coming hopefully by the end of the year. So that's exciting as well. So lots of things going on, and I thought this summer was going to be nice and easy.
We always take
Things
for
keep
granted
going.
how much infrastructure continuously needs updating and upkeep to have a city run smoothly, and you don't realize
don't.
it.
You don't. Well, I think people like
You see people out working on the roads, but
Totally.
you don't
but
realize
all those trucks that need to get there and the tools. I mean, obviously, you're only as good as your tools are. So if you're working with outdated vehicles and equipment, it doesn't make sense. So we're happy that the council approved all of those. One thing council did not approve is the splash pad in the wading pool at Hildreth. So they wanted to get more information on that, which we're happy to talk about. So this was a very difficult decision for me and the rec department to make this decision. So the plan is to turn the wading pool at Ward Park into a splash pad.
wow.
Yeah, so we have 2 wading pools in Marlborough, one at Hildreth School and Ward Park. The Ward Park and Hildreth are both very old. They're probably, I think, older than I, so which is pretty intense. So every year we never know if the pool's going to be able to be opened and to be utilized just because they need that much work. So the decision was to keep one wading pool open. The thought process was to change them both into splash pads, but we didn't feel that was a great idea because the wading pools are needed.
And it's still utilized.
And still utilized quite a bit. So the idea is to focus on Hildreth, change the mushroom, that's a little watering thing that's in the middle. We're going to move that over to the side so we can have more people to access the wading pool. And then obviously change Ward Park into a splash pad. The wading pool at Hildreth, the bones and the pipes and the infrastructure regarding the housing of where the chemicals go are in great shape. So that's why we decided to do that. Unfortunately, at Ward Park, we need to do a complete overhaul. So the pipes and the underground infrastructure aren't necessarily usable. And then the building that contains all of the figurations of the chemicals is not usable for a wading pool. So Hildreth was obviously the best to keep the wading pool. The splash pad is literally going to be almost double the size, so a bigger footprint, and then 25 to 50% more patrons will be able to use the splash pad. Especially with the warmer climates, we want to be able to make sure that everyone has accessibility to staying cool, and the wading pool is just kind of very younger demographic, so now we can have more people at the splash pad.
And the splash pads that exist already in Marlborough get a lot of action in the summer,
attention.
So great idea.
And there's a lot of expenses when it comes to a wading pool. So we're getting lifeguards, the chemicals, the upkeep, the maintenance. So to maintain that. So we don't need a lifeguard at a splash pad. Splash pads can open sooner. And the season can be longer because we're not waiting for that lifeguard to fill that role. We hear you loud and clear. The splash pads would like to be opened longer during the day, so we'll be looking into that as well for next season. But obviously, based upon everything that the rec department suggested, as well as making what makes the most common sense and what's best for the city, it makes sense to have a splash pad, because if we have a wading pool and we don't have the lifeguards, then we can't open up the wading pool. And communities all across Massachusetts are not being able to find a lifeguard who's certified.
Oh, I know the rec department is saying, please help us find lifeguards every year.
And so we did a video in the beginning of this summer or spring and said, hey, we need lifeguards. And thankfully, we're in a good shape. But to get that certification to find people who want to be a lifeguard is getting far and few in between. So we've been kind of plan out that. The summers are still hot. So we still need to keep cool. So it kind of makes sense to push to the splash pad kind of route. But we still will have the wading pool. So
while we're talking about parks, there's a new park underway.
There's a new park.
A long-awaited park.
The dog park.
That's right.
You got it. So I'm super excited that the dog park construction has begun. It's at Galoni. So they're clearing things out. The groundbreaking will be in August, so the end of this month. We're shooting for early fall. I'm formulating a dog park committee as we speak to iron out the details of the rules and regulations as the project moves forward. And I just want to do a special shout out to State Rep Danielle Gregoire and Congresswoman Lori Trahan's office for funding the DPW, and then obviously DPW for engineering and making all that happen. So it's down by Galoni, so there's an access road that kind of cuts out to the fire station.
And when do you anticipate it'll be open?
Early fall, or late fall rather. So groundbreaking is the end of August, and then early to late fall. So they're already clearing things out, and they're moving. So we have to put the fence up, and it's going to be an exciting thing and kind of bring the community together. So,
and all those neighbors with furry friends will have somewhere to bring them.
Let's hope so.
Excellent.
So I'm allergic to dogs. Nor do I have one, so I will not.
So from a distance,
from afar, I'll be waving,
and throwing a bone, maybe or a frisbee. No, don't bring it back.
Maybe a frisbee.
No, it's fine.
Stay, dog, stay.
Yeah.
No, but again, I'm just excited to be able to make this happen. And again, bring that to the community that's been long awaited for many, many years. So it's been talked about. There was ARPA funds, obviously from Congresswoman Trahan's office. So we need to utilize those funds, and we're making it happen. Let's
talk about something really fun coming up just around the corner. One of your favorite holidays.
I think you're talking about Labor Day.
That's right.
Yeah.
Labor Day parade is epic in Marlborough.
Labor Day, this is really nostalgia for me. My family, it's my mom's favorite holiday, my favorite holiday. We always have a cookout. We put the chairs out just like everyone else the night before. I think we even put a couch out before. My mom sits on the couch. It's just such a great holiday.
Does she ring a bell and bring me a drink? And
no,
where's my baked beans?
No, she doesn't have to. We just,
that's what I'd be doing. Where's my potato salad?
No, she's committed, and then the cookouts afterward. But again, when you have a couch or like a recliner chair, people tend to gravitate
to you.
So
she holds court.
She holds court, yeah, and she deserves every minute of it. But again, growing up with that tradition year after year after year, and like it's an open invitation, people just tend to come, and to keep that tradition going is great. So it's going to be back on Main Street. I know last year it was on Granger Boulevard. It was not the best scenario for all those townies because change is hard for a lot of Marlboroughites. But to bring it back on Main Street, the bed races, and then we're opening up to the festival.
Yes, the night before.
The day before, yeah. And super excited to bring that back. Again, bring Marlborough and having that festival.
So what can people expect from this festival?
All sorts of things. There'll be food trucks, touch-a-truck, bouncy houses, bands all day. There'll be booze and alcohol, and just a plethora of vendors, and I'm super excited for that. Again, when we're talking about revitalizing Main Street and bringing the community together, this is kind of what's needed,
So where's it being held? Where's the...
Right on Main Street.
Oh.
Right during the day. I think it's like 12 to 5, but we'll be posting some things, and letters went out to local businesses for sponsorship. So if you're looking to contribute, we're more than happy to do that. The Labor Day Parade is extremely expensive to run and organize.
You get so many big groups in here, and those groups come with a price tag. You have the fantastic Mummers Band from Philadelphia.
And they put on a fantastic show.
They're so good. And the Shriners are great too. And they bring how many trucks full of the little tiny cars and so many fun activities.
Which is such a classic. Like I can't imagine a parade without those things. So we're always looking for sponsorships. There's a website, MarlboroughLaborDay.org. Again, MarlboroughLaborDay.org. So check out the website. We'll be posting up-to-date information regarding who's coming and things of that nature. And if you want to walk in the parade, we're more than happy to have that as well. But again, I'm very excited about this. It's been such a great tradition, and it needs to come back to the community, and we're happy to do that. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, but it's worth it at the end of the day.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, I mean, you can't revitalize Main Street without bringing events to Main Street.
Well, let's talk about what's on Main Street now, because WMCT-TV, we're right above the Vin Bin, right on Main Street, and there's been a lot of construction going on out there, although the sidewalk is looking very nice and large for us, so we have a nice place to camp out for the Labor Day Parade. But what's going on down there?
Patience is a virtue, so I want to thank all the residents who go down Main Street. This was hard for me as well because it was a decision that was made based upon engineering and the left and the right turns. The road is being narrowed, and a lot of people are finding that very difficult, but the left and the right turn does not warrant a left and right turn lane, so there isn't enough cars that take that turn. So there's no need for a lane for it. So that's why we're narrowing it, and it's a slowing mechanism, and the timing of the lights are going to be changed as well. So from an engineering standpoint, it's all getting a reboot. So I appreciate all the comments about it. But please bear with us. I know patience, and it will all work out in the end. You just have to trust the process, as I am as well. Again, it was a decision made before I came into office. There was a grant to redo Main Street. Main Street's getting paved mid-August. So by the time this should air, we should be having a new paved Main Street. And I'm just excited for the new look and feel of Main Street.
And the workmanship is really very good from what I've been seeing. And every time I enter the building, it's really nice work that's being done.
It is. And the lights on that South Bolton Main Street look really nice. They're now black. So they look new and modern. And but I'm excited for that corner to be done with.
Let's talk about another street for a minute, though. Sure. You had a meeting about Route 20, with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
Yes.
And I understand that you met, also some other city councilors were there.
Absolutely.
What concerns were you voicing? I know you've got a lot of notes to shuffle.
I do, yeah. No, Route 20 has been a long withstanding thing. A lot of complaints about Route 20, and we're always saying, oh, it's a state road, so it's good to get up to speed on where we're at. So they're about 60 to 70% done with drainage improvements. The delays were mostly the infrastructure, so water, sewer, gas. So there's a lot of coordination.
A lot of different vendors
a lot of different outsourcing. So if it was just the Marlborough DPW, it would probably be done by now. But when you're coordinating with National Grid and Eversource and even some cable lines with Verizon, so it's a lot of back and forth in scheduling. So that's why there was such a delay. But we are getting caught up to speed. The tentative completion date is July 2025. So we're not that far away. So we'll expect some milling and paving to be done pretty soon, actually. So you'll have a nice cleaner route down Route 20.
Well, a lot of people complain about this road, but also I think it's important to note that it is not a city road. It's a state road.
Right.
So as much as you would like to sweep in and say, DPW, we're going to do it, pave that road, get it done, it's not in your court.
Hands. Yeah. So we're talking about a $20 million improvement.
Wow.
Here. So it's not just like a few million. Like this is a huge investment that'll probably last over 50 years. So when we say like, oh, it's a state road, but like the state is investing pretty heavily, bike lanes and turn lanes in the middle. So there's a lot of thought and process that went into this regarding even from an engineering standpoint, because there's a lot of in and out driveways, businesses, little roads that need to be reevaluated and looked at, lighting from a lighting perspective regarding traffic flow. So there was a lot of work that went into this. So I know that it's been a very, very difficult process, and I apologize for everyone that takes this road, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. So again, please bear with us. We always talk about how the roads need to be repaired, and when we repair the roads, there's consequences because now there's hiccups with that. So if you want a nice clean road that's shiny and brand new, this is what we have to go through.
And we live in New England, and the weather just wreaks havoc on the roads no matter how hard you try to maintain it. When you have hot, hot summers and cold, cold winters, it's just a recipe for disaster. Right. And there's no miracle paving solution that has been invented yet. If you've got one out there, be in touch for some magical rubber road that expands and contracts like magic.
I wish.
Yeah.
But I mean, by the end of the year, you should see some dramatic improvements, which is extremely exciting. So DOT has been very responsive at the meeting, and they're well aware of these issues, and they're trying to do the best that they can. And like I said, they didn't expect the delays with all the infrastructure, but like I said, they're all caught up with that. And by July 2025, which I thought was going to be 2026. So I'm glad that it's next year. So
wonderful.
I mean, it's still a long time away, but again, we're getting through the process. So thank you all to, again, patience, but we're getting there, I promise.
So of course, people express their impatience to you.
Yeah, it's part of the job.
So I understand you're putting together plans for a sort of a town hall meeting.
We are.
So is that an opportunity for people to speak up and voice their questions or concerns or ideas, or what's the goal?
The goal is all of that.
Yeah.
So that will be, we're looking at fall, so September, October for that event. So we kind of, this is kind of the same model as the Chat and Chew at the Senior Center, where people can come and ask questions. We are asking for questions to be done prior so we can get the actual information. I cannot retain everything that's going on in the city. So there'll be questions that will be provided ahead of time, and then we'll be answering them during the town hall. So it's be the first one. So if you do attend, please be kind. But that's the whole point, is to get that firsthand information as to what's going on. That way, if people have any issues, complaints, concerns, we can talk about it, get answers from me, and it's just a different avenue. Other than this, the newsletter, which you haven't. If you don't have the newsletter, you can sign up at the mayor's website portion of the City of Marlborough website. So if you don't have the newsletter, it's every month, and it's chock full of information. But I purposely hope that people see that I'm trying to be everywhere and be present and to answer those questions, because going to the concerts, restaurants, people are like, hey, what's up with this? What's going on with that? And it's good just to get that information, and it's just another
What sort of questions have been coming up during the Chat and Chews at the Senior Center? You don't have to answer them all, but just to get an idea of what the conversation is like.
Yeah, the Chat and Chew, we talked a lot. And so the boardwalk was always a big issue at that time. The roads improvements, especially with the flooding, the culvert issues, Route 20, the rat situation, what are we doing about that?
That seems to have died down quite a bit. Is that under control?
We are actively working on it with smart boxes, so they're doing what they need to do, which is great. Even special projects that are happening with the city, zoning issues. If the people are following along with city council, they'll ask me directly. Personal issues that are happening, when their streets getting paved, or it could be a plethora of things. But that's what I love most. I think as mayor, you should be present. You should be willing to talk the talk and walk the walk too. So it's just another avenue for people to say, hey, what's going on, and kind of vent their concerns. Obviously, coming from a customer service standpoint of owning a salon and being in the service industry, people just want to be heard.
Right.
And this whole town hall is exactly that. We may not have the answer that you want, but at least you will have time to acknowledge it. I will respond to it and say, not this time, or we'll look into that and actually get hopefully some satisfaction that you are heard and we are hearing you. So again, that's why I just wanted to run for mayor. It's just to kind of make sure that information is being put out there, because we're only as powerful as the information that we receive. And that information does have power, so why not give it to the residents, because they deserve it. They do pay their taxes, so they are entitled to that. So hopefully it'll be a huge success, and there'll be more to come.
And we're going to live stream it too. That's part of the plan. Make it as accessible and widespread as possible.
Yep. And my thought process is to record all the questions with answers. So if you can't make it, you can live stream, and it'll be in the newsletter as well. So again, so it's in writing, so people can actually read it, and go back to it rather than trying to
search through a video
Yep. So that's the game plan.
Great.
So,
We're talking about community engagement and how the work the city does is generally just to serve the residents, right? So we have the state budget as well, and there are some specific projects earmarked. How does that work?
Yeah, so thankfully to State Rep Danielle Gregoire, she was able to put in some money for earmarks with the budget, and so we have about $425,000. So that's earmarked for specific things, so for an outreach van, so our mayor's mobile office, and then speed bumps. So speed bumps have been talked about for a long time to put in different areas of the city, just to kind of say, hey, slow
things
down a little bit. Watch your speed. So we have temporary speed bumps. Money was allocated for the dog park, Galoni Park Pavilion. So my whole thing is, again, bringing that community together. And when you look at a lot of local parks, there isn't a lot of shade anywhere. So if you're at John Street Playground or the wading pools or other places, there isn't shade. So Galoni Park will probably be the first to hopefully kick up. So there's a little bit of money for that. So we'll have to find funding elsewhere just to provide a pavilion so people can throw parties there, or just a great way to be out, because you see them hovering underneath trees, that people go to the splash pads or eating a sandwich underneath trees and stuff for that shade. And since things have been brutally hot, it's just nice to have some cover, So that's part of the plan with that. Always exciting topic, City Hall boilers, riveting stuff. And then the MEDC commuter shuttle. So this is really cool. We've been going, we've had a shuttle for quite a few years that kind of closes that last 1 mile loop. So there's a few different spots that's dedicated. So the shuttle goes around 3 different times in the morning and in the afternoon, where they pick you up at these destinations and they bring you to the commuter rail so you can go to work into the city, which is a great offering. It's free to utilize. So you kind of sign up through MEDC, the Marlborough Economic Development Corp, and you get that last mile. So it's kind of looping that together so it's more accessible for people who want to come from Boston to work, or vice versa. So that's an exciting thing to keep that going. So I can't thank Danielle Gregoire enough for that.
Well, especially because the governor vetoed quite a large portion of money from other communities. Yeah. So we were able to.
Well, hopefully. There's about 900,000 of that were vetoed. So we're hopefully getting most of it. So that's what was earmarked for. Hopefully we don't have final on what was cut from that 900, but hopefully we won't see any but you never know.
You never know.
That's the beautiful thing about politics, But no, they're all great things, and we'll make do with the best that we can. So they're like little gifts. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking some time to meet with me today.
Thank you for your team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I keep looking at the both of you. So if you see me, there's two wonderful team members with WMCT-TV behind the cameras. So we move. We're on the move. But
and of course we have the City Hall to look forward to. But if you're a viewer of this program and you have a question for the mayor as well, send us an email at WMCT-TV or write to the mayor's office, and maybe we can answer it here.
Always reach out to the office. Yeah, wonderful. The door's always open. So,
excellent.
No, thank you for having me.
Thanks. That brings us to the end of another episode of Corner Office. I'm Ryan Malyar, and thank you for tuning in.